Let me tell you, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa,
Yes.
people who are like us are 1 billion people. 1 billion.
Thank you.
Here, next door.
Uzuri uko hapa to tell us the formula. Leo utatuambia siri yako. I believe I can say this on air. You technically built Thika Road.
Yes.
Right?
Well, let me say I put the concept together.
You put the concept together.
Yeah.
2 questions zitakuja in one. How you get to the level, building yourself to the art of the deal. I think they call it that, the art of the deal. Ufike mahali una negotiate hapo, right? And then the other question of when a project like that one comes, like when you put together a concept, what is the science of how it will benefit people? Like the ripple effect. Apart from you making your money as a businessman who came up with the idea. What is the science of coming up with a project and what is the politics of getting to the level of putting together such a concept?
Sawa, Daktari.
Yes.
You want me to go ahead? Let me
ahead.
tell you this. Let me state on record
Yes.
that we, all the way back in about the year 2000, were the ones that initiated what you saw as the Chinese money coming into Africa. I had some very good friends in China, and I visited China, and they were interested in expanding into Africa. Now, before that time, the British, for example, used to give us a loan, and they would tell us, for that loan, to build a road, we can only afford to spend so much amount of money for 40 kilometers. It must be our British company.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Okay? And their prices were very high.
Yes.
And they would say, that's all we are doing. And the Minister of Britain would come here with the president at the time, Moi, and they would flag off this road like it was a very big affair. They have done wonders for Africa, 40 kilometers. It was a big thing. It would be in the front pages of your newspapers. Then I brought the Chinese. And the first thing I said is that if you look around, it is those British companies, so-called European tide aid projects that had no value for money. Or you had Kenyan cowboy contractors, right, who had been built over the years that were doing shoddy jobs. It was just a money-making scheme. Many of them, you would see a road on a map, but when you go there, there's no road. But people have been paid. So we brought in the Chinese with soft money. They came in with 22-year money, 10 years grace, right, and lots of it. And they said, we are prepared to come here and do what is called a win-win formula. Because if Kenyans come up, right, they'll still buy things from us. So if we lift Kenyans up and they build houses, they'll buy electrical elements, for example, from us. So our interest is win-win, okay? And I loved the model. Their money was soft, but on top of that, for every 100 shillings, for example, a kilometer, they would charge, the British would charge for a road. These guys were coming in at 30 shillings. 30 shillings. Okay. And then for every 2 years, lead time, let's say the British tell you 2 years for a road, these guys would do it in 8 months. They would work 24 hours. So you got better value of your money. We were stretching our shilling, right? Even in the long term. So we brought them, the first project they did was this one of Uhuru Highway. All the way from the airport, Uhuru Highway to Gigiri. And that was a donation from the Chinese government to President Mwai Kibaki. $150 million. All right?
Donation.
Donation. It was a grant. Just so that people can see what the Chinese contractors do. Right? And everyone was very shocked. Because where previously roads were this thick, the Chinese were doing 6 feet. Core. What is under this highway? Core, 6 feet. Some 8 feet. So it lasts for 10 years. Before that, people were experimenting on concrete roads. And so they did that, and everybody said, these fellows are wonderful. So then we looked at the next project, which is the most densely populated road, and it was Thika Road, more than Mombasa Road.
Yes.
Okay? So the president said, that is the one I want. So it was packaged, right? It cost 32 billion at the time. But I can tell you, you can see what it did. It changed people's lives.
Did you have that plan in mind?
Yes.
How it's going to change people's lives?
Oh yes. You see, roads are a stimulus. During and after. I'll tell you why. During, you're buying a lot of local material. You're buying sand, kogoto, sijui, tar, all these things, right? And you're using local labor, heavy labor. A lot of people work on roads. And you're also buying local steel, right? So you stimulate during. And as you stimulate, that money, right, is spent even by the workers. They go and buy more unga, they go and buy other things. It comes back into the economy in VAT and so on, higher. After you have closed markets. So before, if it took you to take your goods a whole day to go from one place to another, or let's say even 5-6 hours, now it took you 1 hour. You could do 2 trips in a day for your product, right? You can sell more. So you stimulate with roads during and after. Unlike railway. Railway is only a stimulus if you're carrying cargo for export. Otherwise, it is not a stimulus.
Which begs the question, railway, I also mentioned to you that my friend and I were debating, instead of the SGR, why not an expressway like this one from Nairobi to Mombasa?
Exactly. And that was my big argument with President Kenyatta. With President Uhuru. I'm the one who came up with the idea for SGR. And my big issue was my model is private. I have a simple private model. We started in 2008 with the same company, Chinese company called China Road and Bridge. We want to build this road with this railway from Mombasa to Nairobi and to Malaba, all the way to the border of Uganda, for 55 billion shillings. We did a whole study, private. It did not want any revenue, tax revenue. Mwananchi should not be taxed for this project. All I wanted was an agreement with Kenya Railways for the Whaley, for the land. Then it was being run by a company called RVR, and it was a failure. Then they decided to make a government project. When they made it a government project, it shot up from 55 to 400 billion, just from halfway. What was 1,000 kilometers at first became 500 kilometers, 400 billion, Mombasa to Nairobi. I said, this thing is a total failure. Why don't we do this, what you're suggesting, Daktari? Why don't we do the road? From Mombasa all the way to Malaba, we do like we did Thika Road. We changed the economy of Mswahili, because I can tell you Thika Road changed the economy of all the people who live in Mount Kenya that way. Land value, let me tell you, Daktari, before Thika Road was 500,000 maximum per acre. By the time it was built, 12 million. Munashika hiyo hesabu?
Per acre. It made more millionaires.
Munashika hiyo hesabu? Those zeros you know. Aya. I can tell you today, it is very hard to get an acre for less than 40 million shillings.
Are you also saying?
Shika hiyo, if you have your 2 acres, you have 80 million. Before it was worth 1 million. So I was saying with Mombasa Road, we'll do the same thing. And you change the economy in Mswahili, Mtaita, Mkamba, Nairobi here, Masai. Okay, everybody, all the way mpaka Kisii and Luos at the border.
Okay.
All right?
Sawa.
Okay.
So you're saying the amount of money that was used to make the SGR would have been enough to bring a super highway from Mombasa to Malaba?
In fact, half. We had done the costing. SGR cost $3.8 billion. $3.8 billion, Mombasa to Nairobi.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Then they added another 2 from Syokimau to a place called Dukamoja, the railway to nowhere.
Yes.
Okay? Dukamoja. Aya. So you can see the cost. Now, ours, if we did the highway, expressway, 8 lanes, with lights, a 24-hour corridor.
Yes.
Right? With solar lights. Okay, computerized. Would have cost us at the time $2.2 billion.
We will get depressed over that. But kitu ingine tena, in our own
all
time.
the way to Malaba. So I want you to understand that now you'd be saying, I want to go to Kisii. Kisii from here takes you almost a day. 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours. It would literally take you less than half that time to get there. Naivasha here would be 30 minutes away. So people would even ask themselves, why do I live in areas where I have so much traffic in Nairobi?
Yes.
Let me go to Naivasha, right? And I wake up every day to see Longonot. Wouldn't you want that? You're living in Naivasha, nice property that costs the same as a little property you're getting here. Even rent-wise, it will be cheaper. 30 minutes away, and you're waking up to fresh air, looking at Longonot. You have little antelopes running around you. Sio ni dunia. You enjoy your own country. Kwani ni ya wazungu? It's not ya wazungu. This is our country.
Now, first of all, before we let you go, you are very honest.
You mean we are through?
Time yetu inaenda kuisha. I hope please talk to our director anaitwa Jackie atuongeze dakika kidogo. Please Jackie. So now ulituambia na ni mkali leo sijui amekula nini. So now you are very honest and straightforward. You said your dad had money. Wewe ulikuwa na do from before. Si wewe, your dad had money.
Yes.
But you also said that you did not depend on him.
That's correct.
Right? Uliponea wapi?
You know, let me tell you something. If you have a good brain and a good heart, you will enter any door in this country. All right? The key is whether you're able to stay in. Is your idea good enough to stay in the room? Even outside this country, there are people who work on what are called telephone appointments. Have you ever heard of that, Daktari? You know, Sisi, we take our telephone for granted. There are people, if you need to call them, you have to book an appointment. Simu. And you have, yes, kwa simu. And you have a 5-minute conversation. The secretary calls you a minute before, tells you be on in 1 minute, hold on the line, he comes on, you have 5 minutes, and he has to go to the next phone call. So there are people who are that pressed with their time.
Kwani ni customer care?
No, you're talking about extremely wealthy people in this world. Easy. You have 5 minutes to make a case.
Yes.
And if you make it in the first minute,
Yes.
okay, the person says, 5 minutes is not enough. Can you come, we meet? I've heard you, you make sense to me. And he will ask you maybe one question. If you make sense, you stay in the room. If you don't, you never have that chance again. Umeshika hiyo? You won't get that chance again. So this is about capacity, and we have it. The first thing is that we must stop thinking small. Stop thinking we are poor and we have no capacity.
Yes.
We must think big. We must do our research. We must be smart. You're not going to meet big people and start talking to them about making 10,000 shillings. They don't care. Okay? They want to understand, what is your idea? Do you really believe in it? And does this have prospects of changing lives? Because the greatest thing about all this is changing lives. If you see everything in life, it's about changing lives.
Who did you learn
AI
this from?
is discovered, okay, today. It's about changing lives. It's not even a conversation in this country. AI is a very big topic. It is going to take away people's jobs. So I don't know why people are saying they want jobs. All these cameras, even you. I've even seen in India, they have an AI anchor. Have you seen them?
I mean, welcome
They
to
have
the
an,
Wicked
yeah,
Edition.
no. And they research what voice do people want to hear, what kind of face do they want to see, what kind of clothing, right? And that AI anchor
Yes.
can take questions,
Sawa.
can answer within seconds, because their database is just there.
Thank you. Thank you for scaring us more. But then, the question
He's worried his job is going.
let's go back to, first of all, where do you learn this from? Yeah, the relationships that you keep, right? And the access to doors, right? And take us back to the first time you closed a deal and the confidence ulipata ya kujua it's not about the small money.
Let me tell you, I must say I had a very good upbringing. I had a very good father.
Yes.
In fact, he's still very much alive, who was a very good mentor to me. So I think it's important people appreciate the strength of family.
Okay.
We're a very strong family, and I got a lot of mentorship from there. Because of that, I had a lot of goodwill in terms of access to a lot of people. Okay? But I'll tell you my very first project. And I tried to explain it one time, I think, on Citizen TV, and people thought I was joking, right? I came back from Canada, and the garbage here in this city, even outside this place, it would have been a mess for everyone to see. Garbage. It was collected by then what was called a city council. Nairobi City Council, all right? There was nothing like a county, okay? And the county could not, the council could not collect garbage, right? So I went to propose to them that I want to do private collection of garbage. They laughed at me. Why do you want to get into this junk? I said, listen, I've got plastic bags. I just want permission to go and collect from people and go and dump it in Dandora, right? And according to their bylaws, so I read the bylaws. People don't read. You know, I keep saying that the Mzungu says that if you want to hide something from an African, you can put it in a book. Okay? So I went and I said, in the bylaws, it says the garbage is the person until they put it in the receptacle, your county. So I want to intercept it before the county, right? They said, but you know, our water bill is also the garbage bill. I said, I'm not interfering with that. They'll still pay you, right? At the time it was 40 shillings. They'll still pay you because they don't want their water disconnected. So I'm just helping you. And they agreed. I could not raise the money. My father, I could not ask my father for the money. I was too proud. Okay, I wanted to do this on my own. Do you know what I did? I was fortunate enough to have had a Mzungu in school with me, right? A couple of Mzungus. So when I went knocking at Dr. Kingori's door, and I tell him, give me a deposit so that I can come. I had printed some very nice flyers. Give me a deposit of 600 shillings so I can come next month to collect, because I needed to raise money for a pickup. Kingori would bang the door, say, this must be a conman here saying he's coming to collect garbage. But when I sent the Mzungu, Kingori wrote a check immediately. He wrote a check immediately. Here. In fact, we have so many problems. Somehow the Mzungu becomes credible, but I'm not credible. Do you know, within a month and a half, 6 weeks, I had 40,000 shillings to go and put a deposit for a pickup. I even painted it myself. It was called Bins Limited, BINS Limited.
You painted it
I
yourself?
painted it myself with that Mzungu.
Gate.
I'm telling you. And do you know, within 1 year,
Yes.
I had 6 pickups, I had 4 canters, and I had 2 lorries.
From garbage?
1 year out
From
of garbage.
So you do, as in the phrase, wewe ile phrase ya pesa kama takataka.
Now, when niambia hivi, correct. When niambia hivi, which money did I get from a bank? I didn't. It was an idea. And this thing that you need money to make money, you just use your brain. There's nothing you cannot get here.
It's all in the mind.
It's all in the mind.
You've answered the question I would have asked next. What's in it for the person who has no your base ya kwenda Canada?
Did I have money?
Nimeelewa. You've answered that question. You've answered that question very well. Before we let you go, in just 1 minute, right? Just 1 minute. You started your business without debt.
Yes.
Umesema, when it comes to reviving the economy, pia stimulating, is the government to allow banks to trade with ordinary people. Like we explained that,
correct,
right? So if you started without debt, is it a guarantee that everybody in this life today, everybody watching, has a chance to start without debt?
Absolutely. And let me tell you something. It's important people understand this very important point. Okay. Out of every 100 shillings
yes,
the government gets from us,
yes,
70% goes to debt. 70 shillings is going to debt payments.
Okay.
So it's important you understand that. That's why they want to finger us more and more.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because they can't make ends meet. It's like a biashara. If you pass 20 shillings, 30 shillings of your 100 going towards debt,
yes,
if you pass, in fact, biashara is 30 shillings.
Yes.
You know you cannot make it. You cannot make it.
It's a lie.
It's a lie. You can't make it. You're just going to need more and more debt to sustain yourself. So the key thing here, ndugu yangu, is this.
Yes.
You can't begin without debt. It can't begin with an idea. An idea, a unique idea.
And how you believe in it.
Yes. I mean, people are looking at me saying, how can you make money out of garbage? Why do you want that rubbish business?
Okay.
But we did.
Okay.
I sold that company 3 years later for a good money.
Hey, Mazi. Asante sana. Asante. Our director, Jackie, has been very kind to add us a few more minutes, but this conversation is not complete because I was hoping tunaweza ingia kwa story ya, you had a very interesting explanation of the circulation of money.
Yes.
So, hii kitu iende part 2 ama? Tunaweza kupata tena, unajua pia.
You know, at the shortest notice, you know, for you, ndugu yangu, I respect you. You've created a very unique thing here.
Asante.
Yeah.
We would like to invite you again for a second part to explain the circulation of money.
Correct.
Alafu sasa tumalizie the chance ya sasa everyone has to make it to billions. Jimi Wanjigi ako na story interesting sana ya mpaka vile walikuwa Daru na shule moja na akina Unye, and I think that's also another conversation. But in the interest of time, na Jackie pia amekuwa patient for us. Wapi makofi ya Jimi Wanjigi? Hey, Maze. And thank you, by the way, for being kind enough to make time for us. This is the first time we've recorded the show at awkward hours kwa sababu ya interesting circumstances that were out of both our controls. But we've done our best with the little time we have. Mmesoma kitu? Yes. Aya basi. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.
Asante daktari. Thank you very much.